Okay, so good day everyone. I am Mark Lester S. Chico, and I am here to present our project in CE 175-1S5 in reinforced concrete design. So let's start. So first, we need to set the design specifications of the superimposed load for the building. So we have four-story building, so we have four floors. Then for the roof, we have decided to have it roof slab, so it carries the waterproofing. Then it's the ceiling system, suspended ceiling channel system, then the gypsum board. Okay, so for the second to part floor, it is residential. Then the floor finish consists of ceramic tile of 20 millimeter thickness on a 25 mortar bedding. Then for the exterior walls, we have decided to have it 200 millimeters CHB block using 19.6 kilonewton per meter cube density of unit. Then it is plastered on both sides, 3 meter high. Likewise, for the interior walls, we have decided it to be a little bit smaller, so we have decided to use 6 inches of CHB. Then it is fully grouted as well, using 19.6 density of unit, then plastered in both sides, also 3 meters high. So for the frame walls, we have decided to have it for the windows and such. Then we also have it waterproof as well. And for the reinforced concrete stairs, it is 10. We assume it to be 10 kilonewton per meter as its load. Moving on for the first floor, the floor finish is also ceramic tile, 20 millimeters thickness on 25 mortar bedding. For the ceiling system, it is just the same. All right. So it has suspended ceiling channel system and 1/4 inch gypsum board as ceiling. Now, moving on for the live loads, for the roof level, since it is a flat roof, so we have decided to use the flat or rise less than 1 unit vertical in 3 unit horizontal or 33.3% slope. So it is equivalent to 1 kilopascals. Next, for the residential, here are the corresponding live loads. So for the basic floor area, it corresponds to 1.9 kPa. For the exit facilities or the fire exit, we have decided to use 4.8 kPa. For the corridors, we assume the heaviest, so it is 4.8 kPa. And for the stairs, it is like the corridor, so 4.8 kPa. So for the first floor, it consists of the office and the commercial. So for the lobby, it is 4.8 kPa. Basic floor area, 1.9 kPa. Other offices is 2.4 kPa. Residential storage is 1.9 kPa. For the commercial retail store, it is 4.8 kPa. And for the corridors, 4.8 kPa. So now, moving on for the Revit, here is the site development plan of the project. Then here is the location map of the project. It is located in Kalumpit, Bulacan. Then here is the sample perspective view of the project. Okay, so now moving on for the floor plans. Here is the first floor plan. Then here is the second floor plan. Then here is the third floor plan. Next, it is the fourth floor plan. And lastly, the roof level. Next, for the elevations. For the front elevation, as you can see, it's boxy in design. So it has a lot of windows, and here is the fire exit. For the left side elevation, there is a corresponding window for the hallway. Same as the right elevation, there is also a window in the hallway or corridor for the airflow. And for the rear elevation, here is the elevation as well. You can see it is now imported to the twin motion after uh, drafting it in Revit, so you can appreciate it a little bit better. So here is the front elevation of the project. Then here is the right elevation of the project. Then here is the rear elevation of the project. Then here is the left side elevation of the project. Then here is the top elevation of the project where it consists of a flat roof slab. So here in this project, we have decided to have 2 meter setback on left side, rear side, and right side of the lot of the building, I mean. Then for the front side, we have decided to offset it 5 meters from the building to have a space for the parking and as well as a play area for the children. Okay, so uh, using the pedestrian mode. Okay, so you can see here is the hand's eye view when you see it from this street. So it's a proper design, although it is very boxy inside. Again, due to lack of time and time constraint, we have decided to make it simple for the building. Now that we are done creating this structure in the Revit and assigning superimposed loads, both dead and live respectively, we are now ready to create this structure in the STAAD Pro Connect. So as you can see, here is the geometric model of the structure. Here is the beam framing plan for the roof level. Next, here is the beam framing plan for the fourth floor level. And as you can see, there are some releases since they are intermediate beams and they are for the stairs respectively. Next, for the third floor, uh, it is just the same as the fourth floor. Next, for the second floor, it is just the same also as the previous ones above. Then for the first floor, here is the representation in the first floor. Although in real life there are beams, the plinth beams, but here we assume that the beams will be carried by the loads on the beam will be carried by the soil. So we don't have to put it in there. So now, and also for the support nodes, it is all fixed. We have decided it to be all fixed. Now for the properties, uh, the plates or the slabs here are 0.125 meters or 125 millimeters in thickness. Then the columns are 350 by 350 millimeters. Then the second floor to fourth floor slabs, I mean beams. The second to fourth floor beams are 250 millimeter by 400 millimeters. For the likewise for these stair beams, it is we have decided to be the same. So we have used 250 millimeters by 400 millimeters. Then for the roof beam, we have decided it to be 200 millimeters by 300 millimeters since it is on the top floor and does not carry much loads. Okay. So for the materials, we have used all throughout 35 MPa for the beams and the columns since it is a low, although it is low rise, it carries much weight and we would like the members to be small, so we have to compensate to higher concrete strength. Okay. Now let's go to the loadings. First, here are the dead load. The dead load consists of the superimpose of the slabs, slab dead load and live load. Then here are the interior walls and the exterior walls. Here are the now for the third floor. just the same. And then next we move on to the second floor. It is just also the same loads, although I have opted to to implement the loads by floor respectively, so there is not much confusion around. Now here the interior walls for the second floor, and here are the load for the exterior walls of the second floor. Then for the last one, here are the stair loads respectively. So now moving on, we here are the live loads. So for the roof, we have decided to use this kind of loadings. Then for the second floor, the fourth floor, I mean, here are the basic floor load. Then here are the corridor loads. Then there's the one-way load for the stairways. Then the basic load of the third floor, the corridor loads, and the one-way corridor loads of the third floor. Likewise for the second floor, it is just the same as the ones previous mentioned above. Okay. So now moving on, for the wind loads. For the wind loads, we have decided to use section 207C point 6.3 for the this simplified design with pressure and an envelope procedure for the low-rise structure, wherein here is the formula that we have used, wherein the lambda is the adjustment factor, the KZT is the topographic factor, and the PS30 is the simplified wind pressure at exposure B. Okay, so as you can see, there is a case A and case B. The case A, uh, where wind is projecting from a comes from the side view of the building, so it is coming either from the left or the right side. Then it has also four cases wherein each corner of the building is studied and subjected to wind loads. Likewise, for the case B, it is just the opposite, wherein the wind direction comes from the front or the back side of the building. Then uh, it has also four cases wherein the maximum wind are located in each corner of the building respectively. So okay, so here are the the different kinds of pressure, wherein there is a horizontal pressure, then there is a vertical pressure, and there are also for the overhangs. For the case of our building, we did not opt to have any overhang, so we did not use this table, and there are basically various wind speeds. For our project, since it is located in Kalumpit, Bulacan, the basic wind speed in there is 250 kilometers per hour. Then since we have opted for a flat roof, we have used 0 to 5 degrees. And we have used all of this, the necessary values for the building. Okay. So now here are the adjustment factor for the building height and exposure. Okay. So now once we determine all of that, we need to implement it in the STAAD. Since the STAAD does not have the kind of the automatic procedure for this kind of wind load procedure, the envelope procedure, we have opted it to be used as a tributary area, wherein here are the following cases as follows. Okay, so for the wind case A1, it is uh, for the sides. For the case A2, it is just on the back side, wherein the wind is still on the right side, but the maximum wind are on the rear. For the case A3, now the wind is on the left side and on the front, the maximum on front corner. Then for the case A4, it is also on the left side, but on the rear, is located is the maximum wind pressure. Okay. So for the case B1 now, as you can see, the wind is now on the front elevation. It is now and the maximum wind pressure on the front is located right side corner. Then for the case B2, it is just also on the front side, but the maximum wind pressure is on the right side. Then for the case B3, the maximum wind pressure is on the rear side, on the rear right side. And for the case B4, it is now located on the rear left side of the building. Okay. So now afterwards, we have defined all of these loads. Okay. Sadly, there is no wind load since our professor did not require it. No? So we now let's go to the automatic combinations for the NSAP. And there is a capability of the NSAP for this to add to compute automatically the different kinds of loads of the NSAP equations for the load combination. Okay. So now we have used the custom code since the STAAD does not have our code yet. So here are the here are the load combinations that we have used in the project. So first, it is for the ultimate strength design. Then next one, here is for uh, the working stress design or the WSD for the checking of the deflection. Okay. So now, for this case, the the WSD, I mean the ultimate strength design or the USD are designated as the 100 series. So as you can see, we have 28 generated combinations. Then next for the uh, the WSD, we have 11 generated combinations. And I have decided to uh, group it into envelopes. So for the first envelope, it consists primarily of all the USD loading combinations, and for the envelope 2, it is consists of WSD load combinations. So now after that, we are now ready for the post processing, and we have generated the we have extracted the forces in here to be used for the Excel for the design of the structural members using Excel. Okay, so using that, here are the following uh, the summarized loads that we have created from this TAAD. Use and here are the results. So okay, so now here are for the first part, it is the foundation or the columns. So as you can see, uh, we have opted to use 16 millimeter rebar. Then for the stirrups, 10 millimeters and 40 millimeters clear cover. So for the critical member, the STAAD Pro results shows that the column or the beam, for in this case column number is 383. Then the governing load combination is load 102, which is the 1.2 plus 1.6 GL, and there's also a wind in there. Then the node is the node 168. Then here are the following results. In this case, the max fx is the actual load. Okay. So afterwards, we have also the deflection check for using the WSD. And here are the following results. Next, for the beams, here are the critical beams that the STAAD Pro have shown using the post-processing. So for this one, to be input into the Excel, we have used 16 millimeter main rebars. And for the stirrups, we have decided to use 10 millimeter stirrup and 40 millimeter ear cover. Okay. So now here are the values for the critical member as generated for the STAAD. And for the effective depth, This is are the critical values at effective depth for the design of stirrups, the spacing of stirrups, I mean. Next, here are also the deflection checking for the beams using the WSD. So afterwards, now we are ready to do this on the Excel, which will be presented by my co-members. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Yisi Talamate and I'm here to discuss our slab design for our RCD project. So for our two-way slab design, first we have to input all the needed parameters, which are all highlighted in orange. Our green is our conditions, and our blue are automated calculations. So after we input our slab dimensions, we can either input our slab thickness or use perimeter over 180 formula. Either way, if the input parameter is lower than 1.1 meter, the Excel we use the zero point 0.1 meter. So in this case, we can use 125 thick um, slab. So this our dimensions is calculated as two-way slab with a 0.625 S over L ratio. We have a 35 MPa FC prime, 23.54 unit weight of concrete, 350 FY and 12 millimeter diameter to be used for the design of the reinforcements. Then we applied our service loads using our dead loads that is declared in the projects. Next, our self weight is uh, gathered by multiplying the unit weight and the thickness, the governing thickness of the slab. And our factored loads are automatically calculated. Here we have case 4 slab, and we have to manually find, unfortunately, the coefficients um, for the calculation. So we have a case 4 that has a 0.625 0.625 S over L ratio. So we can use uh, case for 0.085 and 0.015, 0.085 and 0.015 for our negative moment, and our positive moment we got case for here, so zero point zero 0.05 and 0.009, 0.05 and 0.009. Then our positive live load we got case for 0.062 and 0.011, 0.062 and 0.011, just to check. This is positive moment case 4.6, case 4, case 4. See, it's 0.05 and 0.009, 0.05, oh, 0.05, right? Case 4, 0.05, right? Then after that, our negative and positive moments are automatically calculated, and the sum of the short moments and the long moments are also here, which will be used for the reinforcements calculations. So for here we have our reinforcement calculations, our negative moment, positive moment of the short side, and negative and positive of the long side. So as we can see here, we have our mu that is reflected using our um, uh, moment coefficient method used here, and I forgot show that we are using this slab for reference for the two-way slab, and we will be using this fire exit slab as a one-way slab. Then after we after we reflected the calculated moment here, it is also automatically reflected. The Rn and the still ratio are also automatically calculated so that we can find the governing uh, still ratio. So here we can see whichever is the greater of the three, which we will be using for the calculation of our area of steel right there, and it's the same over here. Good. Now our AS min is a formula uh, by 0.002 multiplied by the base, which is the 1 meter strip that is representing the whole slab, multiplied by the thickness of the slab in millimeters. So we have 250 mm, and our AS is governing. So we can calculate the number of bars by dividing the AS by the area of bars automatically calculated here. So we got the spacing, the area of 4 pieces for both sides, and 270 spacing is the base of 1 meter strip divided by the number of bars. We have a spacing of 270 mm, 270 mm, and whichever is the smallest of the two will be the governing one. And we can round down to the nearest 25th uh, 25th multiple. Next, our long side is the same as the short side. We in this specific scenario, our ramen is has governed as well. We need to make sure that our area of steel uses the governed raw, and the spacing is correct as well. So as you can see here, the governed spacing is not reflected because we um, we chose the it is pre-made in the non this pre-made in the non-governing spacing, so we need to correct it sometimes. So now we can get our spacing, which is not 275, should be either 270 or 265, because the smaller the spacing the better. Next, for our one-way slab design, we have a 7 by 1.5 slab that is designed with 12 millimeter diameter bar, and our service loads are 4.8 and 1.148, and our thickness is 1.125 meters for uniformity. Our height is automatically calculated. Our height is compared to the minimum height, which is 100 meters, and our 125 millimeter thickness has governed. The depth is automatically calculated by subtracting 20 millimeters, subtracting 20 millimeters and half of the bar diameter. Now we can input the service loads, and we can get the maximum moment using the uh, ultimate load. So we got 3.14 max moment, ultimate moment, which we then use for calculating the Rn and the rho. So our governing rho here is rho mean, and we also need to make sure that we use the governing rho, and our AS is governed over our AS min, and our spacing is 1000 over um, the number of bars, and we can um, we can use 270 or lower, 285 or 275. Oh, no, not 275. 250. Yeah, 250. You see here, I have set the multiple to 25, but it rounds up instead of specifically rounding down. So that is for our slab design. Thank you.
So, good day. I am Ryan Leandrino Javillo, and I will be discussing beam design here in RCB, which is for the critical beams per floor, and also discussing the Excel solution for this. Let's start with in the second floor critical beam. And as for the generated critical beam for the second floor, is from STAAD, which is beam number 502. And as you can see, it generated a shear or ultimate shear load, which is 70.268 kilonewtons, and this will be useful for the design of the stirrups. And next is for the moment load that will be carried by the beam, which is 47.979 kilonewton meter, which is also from STAAD, and this is for the steel or reinforcement support of the beam. And as for the design parameters, the designers or the full group have decided that we will use 35 MPa to maximize the design, and also for the strength of the steel, which is 414 MPa, to also maximize it. And as for the raw or the steel ratio for the beams, I have decided to put a zero point 0.5 of the or half of the raw max, which I have garnered this steel ratio. And also, we have decided to put it in zero point 0.9 for the fee or the safety for it to be tension control. So as for the beam dimensions, as I have got the raw, for to have a beam dimension, first is to assume a beam width, which I have assumed a 200 millimeter beam width. And for me um, to have a section, which is it is from the mu is equals to rho bd squared. And as from that formula, I isolated bd squared, so I can use the given mu and also the given rho. And upon that, with the given section of the beam width, I garnered using that formula, I got a section of the depth of the beam, which is 239. And also to conform with the uh, beam to depth ratio of 2/3, I decided to put the height into 300. So next is would be for the reinforcement, as you can see, which is for the area of the steel or also the gross area is the AS is using the raw BD, which is 739.130435. And to have choices, I put all the possible bar diameters for the reinforcement, which as you can see, I have put 10 mm diameter, 12 mm diameter, 16 mm diameter, and also 20 mm diameter. And as for it, and putting the formulas here, the designer or I saw that the most economical or the most practical number of bars that we put on the beam is here, the 16 mm, which garnered 4 pieces of for the top bars of the beam, or the I mean for the bottom and top bars of the beam. Depends on where the deflection is on the beam. And as you can see, I have checked if it is really tension controlled, getting the A and C, and using the formula 600 times B minus C all over D. I have garnered the Fs of 1973.29324, which shows that it is greater than 1000, which shows that it is, yes, indeed, tension controlled. And as for the moment capacity of the beam, which is the MU, and uh, using the formula of 0.9 FSFY, here, as you can see, ASFY times the B28, which is the height of the beam, minus at the B40 here, height of the beam minus A over 2. So here, as I've garnered over here. So with that, at the given sections of the beam, it has a moment capacity of 81.514 kilonewton meter. And as for the moment that will be carried, it is 47.979 kilonewton meter. And that concludes that the section that the designer have used, or within in this Excel, it is safe. And next is for the stirrup design, which is using the VC. And upon getting the VC, it shows that the one half of the phi VC is greater than the given shear. So that concludes that the stirrups that will be used is also adequate, and for that, it is to adapt uh, the maximum stirrup spacing, which is D over 2, which is 239.124662 millimeters, half, which shows that it will have a stirrup spacing of 119.56. And as for the code, if you have a spacing like this, you will have to run down to the nearest fives, depending on the discretion of the designer. And as for me, I have rounded down to fives, which shows the 1.15 millimeter spacing for each stirrups for the beam. And as for the summary, it shows here the beam number, which is the number 502, which is the critical beam as shown in STAAD, and the moment capacity of this chosen section, and also the used concrete strength and steel strength, and also it shows here the beam width and also the depth of the beam. And next is also for its height, and also the stirrup spacing, and also the number of fibers used to reinforce the beam. And it will stay the same for the third floor critical beam, the fourth floor, and also the fifth beam. And I showed here that um, here that the highest moment acted on the beams in the roof beam is 9.899, and as you can see, it is very low. And the only one that is changed here is the beam width, which will be, or the sections, the dimensions of the beam, which will be smaller. And as for the rebars, this shows that it will have a um, two 16 mm diameter beam for uniformity and also for it to be conservative. And also for the third and fourth. So that's all for the beam. Thank you.
Now to start with the column design, we have here the compressive strength or the design requirements of the columns. The compressive strength is 35 megapascal, Fy is 414 megapascal, and the phi is set to be 0.75, which is based on the NSCP 2015 for columns. The dimensions of the column are 350 mm and 350 mm, which is a square column. The height is 1,480 mm, and the clear cover is 40 millimeters. Effective depth is 292 millimeters. For the reinforcements, we have here the main reinforcements and the stirrups. For the main, we have 16 millimeters diameter, and for the stirrups, we have 10 millimeters for the diameter. For the loadings, this was run in STAAD, and we got the loadings for the critical column, which is the max Fx is negative 714.068 kilonewton, max Fy is 0.265 kilonewton, max Fz is 2.384 kilonewtons, and for the maximum moment along x-axis is 0.004 kilonewtons per meter, and My is 4.147 kilonewtons meter. And for the Mz, we have negative 0.379 kilonewtons meter. Now to start with the calculation, we have here the area gross, which is 122,500 millimeters, and the area of steel is 201.0619. To get the reinforcement ratio, this was given by the formula. We have to divide the area of steel over the area gross, which is 0.001641. The value of the reinforcement ratio is between 1% to 8%. So this steel ratio is valid. Next, we have the maximum spacing for ties. This was based on NSCP 2015 as well for the S-max. The first X-max is 16 times the diameter of the main reinforcement, which is 16. The second one is the diameter, 48 times the diameter of the stirrups, which is 10. And this third S-max is the one of the dimension of the column, which is 350. By choosing the least among the three, we have 256 mm as the maximum spacing of the ties. For the number of bars for main bars, given the formula P, rho is equals to AS over AG, we can derive this formula and get the number of bars for the main bars. As a result, we have 1, but 1 is less than the number of bars for tied columns, which is the minimum is 4. So we have to take 4 as the number of bars for the main bars. And for the stirrups, with the same formula, we have this one. Then we can have a 2.56 number of bars. Rounding this up to a whole number, we have 3 bars for the number of bars for the stirrups. And checking the slenderness ratio of the column, we have here LU over R, which is less than 34 minus 12 M1 over MO. This, we can conclude that the column is safe. This calculation will be applied for all the columns of the building, and we only took the critical column So we can design the whole column with this number of bars, and for the number of bars, 4 main bars and stirrups.
So moving on, we have here the reinforcement of footing. I only included the critical. So the density of soil is 18 kNm. The soil bearing capacity is 100 kNm. The footing size is 3,300 by 3,300 by 35 millimeter. The footing self weight is 95.29, which give us a total weight of 95.29. Since we don't have the soil weight. The offset along L is 1.475 meters. Also in the offset along B. The load combination is 706.31. The ultimate load is 820.658. And the MX is negative 0.54. The MO is 3.27. The allowable soil pressure is calculated using force over area. You can see here the force is 820.65658 over by 3.3 by 3.3 since we have square columns. We also have MXZX, MYZX, and maximum soil pressure and allowable soil pressure. We calculated the bottom reinforcement and top steel reinforcement along L, and the bottom and top steel along B. Sorry, it is along B. The effective depth is 267. The effective width is 3,300. The soil capacity is 64.95, and the MU is 233.156. We calculated the RN using this formula. MU is equals to PB. MU is MU over rho BD, and the rho actual, we also calculated this using the 0.85 FC prime over Fy times 1 minus square root of 2Rn over 0.85 FC prime. So the rho min is 1.4 over Fy. So the governing here is the rho min since it yields a higher value. So the area required is 2388.7108. The AST mean is 2975 79.565214, and the tensile area is 3216.96. So the area of the bar is 201.06 since we have 20 millimeter diameter for the bars. And the number of bars were calculated using AS over Robbie. AS over A bar. So the top steel along L is 2412.72. The bar is the same since we have the same diameter. And the number of bars here is 12. So moving on to the bottom reinforcement along B. The P combination is 331.01, and the ultimate load is 416.771. The MX is negative 0.09, MY is 25.29. QU is 38.27098, and we have your MXZX, MYZX, and maximum soil pressure. So the effective depth is 251. The effective length is 3.3 meters. So we also have here the MU. The MU were also calculated here using SPU times effective length times effective depth. Then we also have here the RN, which is calculated also by MU over rho BD. We have the rho actual and the rho min. So since the rho min is also yields higher value here, it also governs. It is used in calculating the AS, which is a rho BD. Then we have here the AST, PRB. We get this on the RCDC then. So we have the area of bars. So same pa din po. Then the number of bar here is 17 16 mm po. Then we have here the top steel. The AST is given by the RCDC also. So the calculated number of pores is 12. So that's